I thought that I was failing. If I didn't spend much time with them, I would be like, I'm failing as a wife. If Abigail was upset and she wants to spend time with me and I'm like, I have to work, and she started crying, I failed again as a mom. There were a lot of different situations that I felt like I'm drowning and I'm failing at everything. I really had no idea about the mental load of it all.
Today, I'm joined by Meg, aka Mama Meg Thinks. And Meg is a friend that I met through Instagram, and I just love her. She's so genuine and honest and also hilarious. She and her husband Daniel have 2 kids, Abigail, who is 2, and Luca, who is currently 7 months. So she lives in California currently, but she was born and raised in Lebanon, and she's actually Armenian. She's lived in 3 different countries, and she can also speak 3 different languages fluently, which is super impressive. So outside of being a busy mom of 2, she also works full-time as a senior marketing manager for a nonprofit organization. Today's episode, we're going to be going through her I had no idea moments throughout parenthood, including pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and then life as a mom so far. In next week's episode, we're going to be discussing the ways that becoming a parent has actually helped her heal from her childhood, having grown up without a lot financially. So this topic actually was inspired by one of the reels that she did and something I kind of resonated with as well, but we'll get into that much more later on. So let's go ahead and get started.
All right, Meg, thanks for joining me today. So excited to finally chat with you like live. This is cool.
I know, same.
And I met you through Instagram, and I wanted to ask you, how did you start your Instagram page? Like, what was the inspiration behind that?
So I started my page around 2 years ago, 2 years and a couple months, actually. I started it right like a few weeks after I had my daughter. I'm coming from a Middle Eastern background. All I've seen on social media was everything about motherhood was sugar-coated, pregnancy sugar-coated, everything. And I felt like, am I doing something wrong? And then after three weeks or so, I was like, I have to start a page to actually show the real side of motherhood. Because as beautiful as it is, there's a lot of hardships too. And I want to speak out about it because I'm pretty sure a lot of other moms, like first-time moms, will be very like a big slap in the face kind of when they have their baby and they're like, what the? I haven't seen this side of mother. Like nobody has ever told me about these things. So that's why I started my page.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, very similar. Yeah. It's just like when that first one hits you and you're like, what happened? Am I the only one through this?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's awesome. And I love your page. You're doing really great.
Thank you.
So, all right. So let's just dive into your experiences. So pregnancy with Abigail, when you found out, what were you feeling, thinking, all those things?
That's funny because Abigail was not in our plan.
Oh, okay.
She was not. Like before we got married in December 2020, such fun time. And then a month prior and then a few months after, I was having some problems, and then I went to the doctor and I found out that I had solid. And I heard the doctor say hysterectomy instead of hysteroscopy. So I was afraid and I wanted to go to a different doctor to kind of know what the issue is. And I'm like, I just gotta go to a different doctor and know because I don't want to go to a hysterectomy. And then I knew that it was the hysteroscopy. But in that time frame between like the 2-3 week wait, I found out that I was pregnant with Abigail. And we were I was so shocked because the doctor prior said, it's going to be hard for you to get pregnant because of the polyp. And if you do, there's a very high chance that you're going to miscarry. So that anxiety was in the back of my head. So when I first got pregnant with Abigail, as shocked and happy as I was very scared because I had that prior anxiety that I might miscarry this baby. So,
yeah, wow.
So when I went to the doctor, every time I was going in the beginning, it was a new doctor. He kept checking my blood work, this and that. Every time I went, I was very anxious. I did not know. I had no idea. I had no idea how anxious you'll start becoming when you get pregnant, and that fear that you have about, is everything okay? Because you cannot see anything. And that second before you get into the room to get your ultrasound and everything, it made me super anxious. And then the first ultrasound that I actually saw her on the screen, I just, I was so happy, but also like, Thank God. But right after you get out of the room, after a couple of days, the anxiety comes right back in, and then you start worrying the whole time. I really had no idea that pregnancy can bring you so much anxiety. Just the thought of something bad can happen to my, and how am I different from anyone else, you know? So when I went to like different applications, like what to expect, I would see, unfortunately, like other mamas living there, you having these care disorder problems. I was just like, this can happen to me too. So that anxiety, I had no idea. All I see on social media or other places is just, you know, the most perfect, beautiful pictures of pregnancy, you know, moms getting pampered with their cravings, getting satisfied, you know, that's all I saw. So I really had no idea that, you know, this much anxiety is carried with you throughout the whole time. So when I just held her in my hands, that was just like a phew. Okay.
We did it.
We did it. Yeah. With Abigail, obviously, there was my first time. And everything was new to me. Like the baby kicks and everything, that was just like magical to me. It was way better than I expected it to be. But then I had morning sickness. It lasted like 14 weeks, and it was just it was horrible. I barely ate anything. Everything disgusted me. With Luca, I expected that, but I didn't have that. But also, I have histamine intolerance that every like few years it kind of, you know, flares up, and probably because of the hormone changes and everything that's happened. So I was pregnant like probably 5-6 weeks. I hadn't even gotten to doctors. I was itchy all over, and I was like, what is happening with my body? This didn't happen with my first. So that anxiety creeped in again. It was less because obviously I have experience. But with Luca, they were like, I was tired all the time. I mean, 2 under 2, you have a toddler running around. I did not expect to be like, I was always so open to like, I want to have 3 kids. I'm fine with 3 kids. You know, I can do this. But then that pregnancy was like, humbled me in so many ways physically that I was like, oh my God, this literally drained all my, you know, energy out of me. So physically, it was super exhausting. So that aspect in my second pregnancy was definitely harder.
And 2 under 2, was that totally planned then?
Yeah. We love being parents. We're like, we want more. Luca was definitely planned. We went back and forth a couple months. 1 month we were like all 4, then 1 month we were like, no, hold on, no. But there was a month that we thought we were pregnant. I definitely misread the pregnancy. And we got all excited. And because we were not planning on it, and I was so excited, and then after a couple of weeks, I'm like, no, we're not pregnant. And we're just like, oh, okay, that's fine. But we're saying, saying, you know, we're not pregnant, but we're like we love that, you know, like that was a good feeling to have. That's what kind of like made us think like, okay, we love having a second. And that's how Luca happened.
So let's go on to the birth then. So first time around, what was your preparation, or did you prepare?
I did not.
No. Me neither.
So I felt overwhelmed with all the information. I would go on social media. I would see a lot of different videos. As a first-time mom, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. As much as it's helpful, it kind of it overwhelmed me, and I felt like I'm very unprepared. And every time I saw a video, it just caused more anxiety. So I just avoided all that. I probably watched like a couple of videos of someone giving birth, but for some reason, I just trusted my body, I guess. Like I wasn't anxious about the giving birth part. I was more anxious about the baby's okay, you know, rather than the birth part. Same went with Luca. I wasn't very anxious, and I didn't do much of a planning except prepare my luggage for the for the hospital. That was it.
Do you feel like things kind of went the way that you thought they were going to then?
Yeah. So with Abigail, I did not have any signs of labor. The only things that I had were Braxton Hicks. So I expected contractions because that's all I saw. Like either contractions or your water breaks, right? So I was like, I'm not having any contractions. Everyone's like, contractions and mucus floods, and I'm like, I'm not getting any of those. So I was like, what is my body doing, you know? And then I also had GD. My doctor
Oh,
was a
okay.
little worried in terms of like, if he wanted to induce me, but baby girl came before, like 2 days before the induction date. My water broke, and you know what you see on movies is a gush of water. That's all you see. But then that wasn't the case with me, and I was like, am I peeing? What is this? I had no idea. I had no idea that like that's how it, you know, that's how in real life, that's how sometimes it works out. So I'm like, what happened? This thing? Am I really in labor or not? So
So
that
just
was
like
a
a
surprise
trickle?
to me. Yeah, just as a trickle.
Okay.
But the way I knew is that someone told on the What the Expect group that if you stand up and it's still like water's trickling down your legs without you like just without doing anything, that means that you're in like it's your water breaking. And then I also noticed some blood. So I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm in labor. I think I'm in labor. So it was better than expected. I would say because I did not have all those pains that everyone was talking about. I knew I wanted an epidural. By the time we got to the hospital, I had very like mild contractions. And then when I was 3 centimeters, I just got the epidural. And I didn't feel a thing afterwards. So that's thank God it was pretty like easy birth. I just didn't know that like I didn't know how much tearing would like the recovery of it, how much that would happen. And I thought, hey, I just pushed like 15 minutes. I probably didn't tear that much. And then he was like, it's a second degree. So I'm like, I didn't know that my damage can be done if it has been limited. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a little surprising to me. With Luca, it was different. I was already 3 centimeters dilated at 39 weeks, and I was having contractions for like 2-3 weeks prior. So the contractions started earlier. But because I didn't have that a lot with Abigail, I just didn't know if it's contractions or not. By the time I was like, these are definitely contractions. These are not breastfeeding, So it was different. You would think that, you've had the baby for, everything, and then it's totally different. Different completely. So with Luca, the doctor was like, the amniotic fluid is a little blurry, and he was afraid that there's meconium or anything. So wanted me to get induced right away. But by the time we got home, he already I got a membrane sweep, and then by the time I got home, I was already contracting a lot. So by the time I got back to the hospital, I was already at 4 centimeters. So things were already progressing. I got the epidural at like around 5 centimeters or so, but I threw up 3 times, which I did not expect. I did not know why that was happening. I was like, I got this before. Why is it happening this time around,
So that was right after the epidural?
Yeah, after I got the yeah.
Okay.
I threw up 3 times. I have no idea why. And then he was out with literally 2 pushes. With Abigail, it was like 16 minutes or so. With Luca, it was just like I didn't tear, and there was just like 2 pushes, and it was out. So it was pretty the birth part was pretty easy.
Good.
I did not expect that. I thought it's for sure going to be like Abigail. I'm like, oh my God, here we go, 9 weeks to recover, But I was good to go after like a couple weeks or so. The postpartum was a whole different story.
Yes, let's talk postpartum. Tell me all about it. So let's start with your expectations. So what did you think it was going to look like? And then what did it look like for you?
Yeah. Postpartum when obviously it was 2 very distinct experiences. With Abigail, because of the 2nd-degree tear, I didn't think I was gonna be in that much pain. I had no idea about that. Plus, the breastfeeding part was so hard, and that was one of the things that just mentally it was draining. I expected the experience to be, here you go, there's your milk. And they liked, and everyone's happy, I like my sister-in-law did tell me that sometimes it's painful, but I didn't know how painful it'll be. There were times the bouncer would be in front of me, and then I'm feeding her, and I would just from the pain, I would just kick the bouncer all the way to the other side of the room. I was in so much pain. I did not expect that. I also did not expect how much sleep deprivation will affect you mentally. And the amount of times that I would just be Daniel, hold her right now because it's offending me too much.
Yes.
I cannot. Like, I feel like I just want to punch a wall or something. It was that bad, and I just wanted him to take her. And this was so hard. Like, my mom was there to help us, and I would still like found it super hard. Like, even when they say like you have help, you would think that, oh, okay, I have help, everything will be way more easier. Yes, in some aspects it is easier, but some I think you physically going through huge hormonal changes, huge other changes. First time mom, all the anxiety over first time mom. So it was pretty hard. I was worried when I was pregnant. I was worried about, oh, like, how am I gonna bathe her and how am I gonna change her diaper? These are things that were like super easy. You just learn it. Like, I shouldn't have worried about those things. I should have, like, there were way bigger things that, you know, I should have worried about, and I had no idea about. So seriously.
Yeah.
So those are the things that Abigail. With Luca, I kind of expected most of these things. Breastfeeding was much easier. Thankfully, he latched within a couple days. So even though it was painful, it was a way better experience. And physically recovering postpartum, it was obviously easier because I didn't have a second-degree tear. But going back to work after 3 months in December, because I work from home full time, and I got back to work early December. And can you imagine, like, during that time, holiday season, it was Abigail's birthday, and in January, Abigail was starting preschool for the first time. It was, and for our anniversary during December, so there was a lot going on. I did not know how much that would affect me mentally. So everything physically you could see, like with Abigail, I knew I was recovering, and then with time, I just picked up. But with Luca, it didn't hit me till like I was super overwhelmed with everything that was going on around me. And that really took me to a dark space. Like for 2 months, I was very, very like mentally not okay. So I did not expect that because I was like, I went through this. I had help. I have my mom helping me. I have my in-laws are 10 minutes away. I should be okay. And I did not expect the mental load of it all. So
yeah. Do you mind sharing some of like those experiences of like what was kind of going through your mind? Like mentally, like those challenges. Do you mind sharing those?
Yeah. I thought that I was failing. I thought that I was failing at everything that I was doing. So, for example, at work, I'm in marketing. So, if I design something, it's somewhat that maybe if we tried different design, I thought that, oh my God, I failed. I did not do a good job. I have to redo it. They did not like it. So it just felt like I just felt like everyone was against me. And it was not because it was not like if I didn't spend much time with them, I would be like, I'm failing as a wife. If if for example, Abigail was upset and she wants to spend time with me, and I'm like, I have to work, and she started crying, and I'm like, stop crying, I have to work. And then I'm like, oh, I failed again as a mom. So there were a lot of different situations that I felt like I'm failing at everything. I'm drowning and I'm failing at everything. This is besides the fact that my body changed a lot. I gained so much weight, and it was so hard to see myself in the mirror and not be like, what the heck happened to me? That was just kind of like a cherry on top. And the comments that you get from people, you know that they're thinking that, oh, she's gained a lot of weight. And I know someone said that to Daniel, oh, your wife has gained a lot of weight. And I'm like, and it was coming from a man. It was coming from a man with a huge belly. With a huge belly.
Oh my gosh.
It's just like small things that you feel like you are not good at anything that you're doing. And it's so hard to pull yourself out of that dark hole, honestly.
Yeah. Mom guilt and just ugh.
Yeah.
Yes. I could totally relate. Oh man.
Yeah.
You know, and like with the weight thing too, it's kind of interesting because I kind of had a different experience because, well, like I was like struggling because I gained a lot of weight too. I gained like 65 pounds or something, and it was hard. You know, it was hard to see myself like that and like not recognize yourself. And then slowly, you know, it started to shave off, but a lot of it stemmed, especially this time around, from an autoimmune disorder. And so when people are like, oh, you know, you bounce back and stuff. And like, as if that's a good thing. First of all, like I had children, you know,
but also like, you don't know what's going on
Exactly.
in somebody else's life, you know? It's like, that was as a result of some autoimmune disorder that I don't know what I have.
Yeah.
That's like always like, I'm like, don't go there.
Weight tolerance should be banned. You've lost weight, you've gained weight. That's not as anyone. You have no idea what's going on in someone's life and why they lost or gained weight. So
exactly.
What even comments? What's the point of it? What's the value that brings it? Like, I don't know.
We've had children. Like, our bodies are forever changed. Like, you know.
For sure. So I know one of Mary, a mom influencer that I follow. She was saying, "Why do we have to bounce back? We're bouncing forward. Like a lot has changed. We're going forward. We're not going back. That was a different person, and now you're a different person. So why are we so talking like bouncing back? We're bouncing forward.
Yes.
And that's such a like a different perspective that I'm like, oh my god, true. So true.
Yeah, you just never know what's going on, and but I love that, like bouncing forward. Love it. So what's a helpful tip then you have through postpartum, whether it's caring for your child or caring for yourself postpartum?
So a few months back, when I was in the trenches with postpartum with Luca, I actually released like a 30-day challenge diet on my page about taking care of yourself as a mom. A lot of times we think that taking care of you should be like this big spa trips and pedicures, and that's not, that's beautiful. I wish we could do that every time, but that's not reasonable, right? So what I created this diet was for 5-minute challenges, 10-minute challenges, making breakfast for yourself, going out for a run, just little things to feel like it's you, make you again. And what I did this time, for example, with Abigail, showers, blah, 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 these little things, hygienic things just went out the door.
Yes.
I was so scared. I was so scared to jump in the shower and her crying. With Luca, I was like, here's Luca, Daniel. I'm going to take a shower. If anything happens, you're handling it. So I just made sure the simple thing, make sure that I'm taking a shower every day. Make sure that I'm doing one thing at least for me every day. That kept me pretty sane. Like till now, if I feel like I'm starting my day a little, not in a good way, or if I feel like another day that was not a good day, I do one thing for me, whether that's a little skincare routine, whether that having my favorite snacks with a drink, watching my show, zoning out, turning off my phone, whether that's another day like decluttering some of the stuff that I have enough to cause me a lot of anxiety. I do something for me, and I feel so good about it. So yeah, it's as much as it's hard to kind of lose yourself in a lot of things, it's so good to find the time to do just a simple one thing for you. Yeah, that'll help you still like you.
Yeah, I love that. Self-care. And actually that kind of ties into one of the listener questions we had was about self-care, so I'll use that for you. Shout out Leslie, because she asked about that. So okay, so parenting. What's the biggest surprise throughout parenting that you've realized?
I was surprised at how much patience I have.
How much patience you have?
Okay. I'm someone who reacts and snaps like so quickly. And that has stems from my dad. Like he's someone that reacts so quickly. And I'm like that too. If I'm angry, if I'm sad or whatever, you would literally know right there and then that I'm angry, sad, happy, whatever it is. I show my emotions on my face like instantly. So when I had Abigail, especially going through like toddlerhood, you need a lot of patience. And of course, there are days that you snap. There are days that you cannot. There are days that you just want to leave the room, take a deep breath and come back in. But at the same time, I did not know how much I know and how much that will give me the patience that I had with her. When I was pregnant with her, a lot of people are like, when she's here, you'll know. As a mom, you'll have the instinct and you'll know. And I did not know how true that was, because a lot of time you just know what to do. You don't need a book. You don't need someone advising you. You just know. That was pretty surprising. to me. And how much patience I had for big emotions. That was pretty like surprising to me too, because I thought I'm surely going to mess this up because that's all I've seen before. But yeah, that was a big surprise.
Yeah. I'm like, what's your secret? Because I'm still in the like snap phase, you know? I'm like, oh.
I have my days. I'm not perfect. There are a lot of days that I'm just like, I cannot. And there are a lot of days that I just leave the room and just cry my eyes out and then come back in. I'm like, let's post this again. But I was just surprised that because I wasn't that person before. Like I said so quickly. So I mean, I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what's an obstacle that you're dealing with in your current state of parenting right now?
Balancing my time with the kid. That's one thing. At the same time, trying to break generational at the same time trying to break generational cycles. Especially coming from a Middle Eastern background, there are a lot of things that I want to do differently. My parents gave me their all. They did everything they could with the information and the resources that they had. But now I have different resources. I have different circumstances. I have different views about certain things. And trying to change that after, after growing up like that and seeing that the whole time, it's so hard. It's so hard. So that's, I think, one of the biggest things, especially with a toddler. Emotion, people pleasing, all those things are such big topics and such hard things that I am constantly wanting to learn and do better.
Yes.
It's so hard.
So hard. Definitely.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite parenting advice for like a new mom?
Give yourself grace. In every stage of motherhood, give yourself a lot of grace. Just like when you start a new job, you don't know anything. You're starting from scratch. Everything is just super new to you. And you're like, you know what, I'm new. I'm learning. And you ask questions here and there and you get advice from everyone. And with time, it takes a lot of time to kind of settle down into your new position and learn everything and excel at your job. It's the same thing for being a mom, for parenting, basically. Everything you're doing is the first time that you're doing it. Even if you have a second kid, even if you have a third kid, but every kid is different. They're so different. Different personalities, different circumstances. So whatever you're doing is your first time doing it. So you gotta give yourself a lot of grace. It's so easy to say that versus implementing it. But a lot of days, just sit down and be honest with yourself. Like, am I really bad at this, or is it my first time doing it? I posted a reel back then that I saw it in a movie, and they were saying, and when someone was thinking about something, for example, if I'm thinking, I'm a bad mom, just think back and say, is this a fact, or are these stemming out of, are these emotion? Are they fact or emotion? They're not fact. You're trying your best, you're learning, you're trying to see what's best for your kid and yourself and your circumstances, based on your resources and your knowledge and your experience. There's a lot of things that contribute to your parenting experience. And sometimes it's good to just sit down with yourself, give yourself grace, be honest with yourself and be like, is it a fact or is this an emotion? And I feel like that helps a lot with shifting your perspective.
Definitely. When you mentioned the job part, it got me thinking, because each stage of parenting is kind of like you're starting a new job, right?
Yeah.
Because you might get good at when they're newborn, but then they become a toddler and it's like starting a new job. And so every stage, I mean, sure, you take things from the other job, right? But it's like you're still starting a new job. And
100%. I feel like you're getting a promotion.
Yeah. You're kind of getting a promotion.
Exactly,
Things might be getting a little bit harder and easier in some ways. And because you take that experience, but also things are changing. And then you have another kid.
Yeah.
And it's a different job. So it's you're constantly switching. And I swear, sometimes it feels like even week to week, you're like, that's new. Now I have to figure that one out.
Yeah, 100%.
It's all a big
learning curve, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I love that. Grace is so needed. So what's been the most rewarding part for you throughout parenting so far?
Yes. Giving my kids things that I was not able to have when I was a kid. Hands down.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that you would think that these are small things, but when you're a kid, those are the big things for you.
Yeah.
So there were things that kind of stick with you. Like even when you grow up, you just think, I never done this when I was a kid. And you don't know how much this affected you until you have your own kids. And you're like, oh my God, I did not know how much this will affect me. And to be able to give that to your kids is so healing. And I love it. I love the healing part of like, I'm able to give my kids things that I wish I had.
Yeah.
And it's honestly the best thing ever.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And we're going to discuss that more on the next episode. So thank you, Meg, for having this conversation with me. I love hearing your I had no ideas. And next week, we're going to be doing the healing episode. So I'm excited to talk to you about that one. I am going to link where people can find you in the show notes. But yes, thanks for joining me today. And we'll see you on the next one. This concludes today's episode, but here is a sneak peek of what's coming up next time.
I remember things were very difficult financially. My mom, she told me there were days that me and your dad did not eat anything because we wanted to give it to you guys so you can take it with you to school. Seeing other people in our school get snacks or when their parents are dropping them off and giving them like $1 or $2, seeing that, I was like, we never do that. That's basically how I grew up. I had no idea it affected me that much until I had my kid.
All right, friends, if there's anything that resonated with you so far today, please go ahead and leave a comment. Let us know about it. We'd love to hear from you. Hit the subscribe button and the bell notification, and you'll get more episodes like this in the future. While you're waiting, here's one that you could watch too.